Well, let me start by expressing my thanks to my good friend, Mr. Moratinos. I said before that within the international community, Mr. Moratinos is the last guardian of peace. And I mean it. I have been very much inspired by his work during all these years. And when we met, we had fallen in love because, very simply, we share the same philosophy about the world that our generation has to deliver to the next generations. And it is not the case today, given all these dramatic events that are happening all around the world. But today, since I was given this opportunity, I would like to share with you some thoughts. Because throughout my career, I have experienced many other forms of good-willing contacts between citizens, especially in the year 1994 to 2002, when I was mayor of Athens, and I had initiated the so-called cities diplomacy, which will be part of the legacy of Mr. Moratinos, and tomorrow he's going to make an announcement that will open the door for a new form of diplomacy. Through his vision, Mr. Moratinos' and his leadership, the Alliance, believe me, has become one of the most meaningful and timely initiatives of our times. It serves peace by promoting mutual understanding, dialogue among cultures, and respect among civilizations. It reminds us that diversity is not a cause of division, but a source of enrichment, and that peace can only flourish where there is dignity, empathy, and dialogue. If what I just said had prevailed before the war of Yugoslavia, the situation would be totally different. Because at that time, all these ethnic groups, before they were coexisting, and you see how easily it can turn to a tragedy. So being here today, Miguel, you did very well to choose Sarajevo, because in the eyes of the whole world, Sarajevo is a symbol. And it will remain a symbol of sacrifice, of tragedies, of war, but also from here, we can all extend a message of peace, dialogue, and coexistence. So, for me, it's a great honor to deliver this address at such an important round table, a conversation not about power, but about people, about those who, without titles or formal authority, become agents of peace through their daily acts of engagement, compassion, and courage. In an age marked by geopolitical fragmentation, this is what I said before, mistrust and fatigue with institutions, civil society stands as one of the strongest bridges between communities and governance, between the local and the global. It reminds us that peace is not an abstract treaty. It is something we build and sustain every day from the ground up. Grassroots initiatives are often the first to sense tension and the first to offer healing. They understand that peace begins where conflict begins, in the hearts, fears, and hopes of people. Local organizations, faith communities, women's and young groups have a proximity that diplomats and officials rarely possess. And I say that being former diplomat myself and currently politician. But I know where are the difficulties. Sorry to say, but states suffer from what we said once, Miguel, from state sclerosis. It is difficult between states to communicate. When a representative of the state goes somewhere in international organizations, he's just following the line to take. But civil society, they can speak freely with their hearts and their minds. They see the nuance, diplomats, and politicians, the texture of human relationship that formal politics often overlook. When a teacher, for instance, brings together students from divided communities, when a mayor, we have mayors here, opens dialogue between refugees and residents, when local journalists report truth against propaganda, these are not minor gestures. They are acts of diplomacy in the truest sense. This is what I call bottom-up diplomacy. Diplomacy that listens before it speaks and builds trust before it negotiates. Cities today are becoming diplomatic actors in their own right. They are the crossroads of cultures, the incubators of innovation, and the front lines of coexistence. From Athens to Istanbul, from Nairobi to Naples, from Nablus to Tel Aviv, cities are proving that urban cooperation can do what formal agreements often cannot. And I refer to these cities because it's part of my experience. At that time, when I was mayor of Athens, I had taken the initiative to open doors of dialogue with Istanbul, and it worked. With Tayyip Erdogan, since then, we have very close and trustful relationship till today, thanks to the fact that at that time we thought and acted out of the box. I can reveal to you today that his boss, who was Erbakan at that time, a hardcore nationalist, had prevented him, had blocked him from meeting me because of their nationalistic ideas and mentalities. But we overcame it. The same goes between Nablus and Tel Aviv. I had convened the summit of the mayors of the world in Athens. They came there, and at the end, they had put aside their differences. This is what is the ambition from Mr. Merotinos through the city diplomacy, as it is going to be part of the alliance of civilizations. Believe me, when the moment comes, you will be surprised with the outcome of this initiative. Because wherever countries and states cannot speak, citizens can speak through their representatives. So cities are proving that urban cooperation can do what formal agreements often cannot. Rebuild trust through shared experience. When cities talk to each other, they create and they open new pathways for peace. Citizens start recognizing and meeting the citizens of the other city, even in the case that their countries are in conflict. When citizens connect directly across borders and beyond politics, they create the most powerful antidote to division, empathy. Civil society's greatest challenge and opportunity lies in connecting local realities to global decision-making. Grassroots actors hold the moral authority of lived experience, as it was the case of the citizens of Bosnia at that time. But they need access. Access to platforms, funding, and partnerships that amplify their voices. We must therefore ensure that local initiatives are not isolated experiments, but part of a global ecosystem of peace building. Governments and multilateral institutions have a responsibility to listen, to learn, and to co-create solutions. International actors can support civil society not by speaking for them, but by opening doors, sharing knowledge, and protecting the civic space in which dialogue can thrive. Grassroots peace builders often operate under immense pressure, from lack of resources, from political suspicion, from insecurity. Yet their persistence shows that peace is not maintained by power, but by participation. Everywhere we see local leaders taking risks for reconciliation. I referred to some paradigms before. Young people turning anger into activism. Women mediating where politics had failed. Their courage reminds us that peace is not fragile. It is resilient if it belongs to the people. What we need now is a new architecture of cooperation in this globalized world. They all say that globalization is finished. Globalization as a process has finished, but globality is there. One that includes cities, civil society, and citizens as equal partners in diplomacy. This is what will be the base of the new architecture of cooperation. Governments and institutions must move from top-down management to horizontal engagement. Peace cannot be outsourced to political elites or international envoys alone. It must be co-authored by those who live its consequences and hold its promise. In this new diplomacy, culture, education, and technology become tools of connection. Each city and each community can be a small but vital node in a global network of dialogue and mutual understanding. Let us transform fragmentation into cooperation. Let us turn local innovation into global influence. And let us recognize civil society not as a substitute for government, but as its consciousness. In a time when borders are closing, cities can open. When politics divide, people can unite. When institutions hesitate, communities can act. This is the transformation power of civil society. This is diplomacy reimagined from the ground up, where peace is not negotiated, but lived. Peace begins when we recognize that everyone, a teacher, a mayor, a volunteer, a student, can be a diplomat of understanding. And that true diplomacy does not start, dear Ambassador, in ministries. It starts in the streets, the schools, the neighborhoods, and in the shared humanity that binds us all. Together, let us empower those voices. Together, let us be each, in one or one way, agents of peace. And this is what Mr. Moratinas will say one day when we meet in Athens. Thank you very much for your attention.